My name is Jody Gutierrez. My quality of character presentation is on fairness. Fairness is something that I feel is a huge quality that a coach needs to have when coaching a team. And it is something that as an athlete I had not experienced, and which is why it's probably one of my key characteristics when I coach my teams. One of the quotes that I found that I thought was good and passionate was this quote from B0EC, and it says, "Talent sets the floor, character sets the ceiling." I think that too often we think about winning and losing, and we do not focus on the character of the game. When we do focus on the character of the game, the amount of output that you get on these athletes is extreme, and it is higher than you could ever believe. The definition of fairness in the dictionary is impartial and just treatment or behavior without favoritism or discrimination. I know that as a coach, there are times that you have athletes that are more talented, athletes that are less talented. Sometimes you have athletes that you just get a deeper relationship with, and that is something that you cannot change. But what you need to do is to have every interaction with your athletes as fair and unbiased as possible, regardless of their ability level, regardless of their relationship with you as a coach. As far as sports, definitions could be as simple as tryouts. For example, I am a boys basketball coach at a middle school with 1,200 students, but we only have one basketball team. So I make 4 days of tryouts. I tell them that I'm comparing them over all of the time I see them. If I see more in 1 or 2 days, if they are late to tryouts, then they better be better than somebody I've seen for 4 days. Because I do have one team, I do always look at 6th and 7th and 8th graders. Otherwise, I will not build a program. I don't have a set number that I keep, but I do not expect the 6th graders that are just coming into this program to be able to try out and compete fairly and equitably with the 8th graders that have already played for me for 2 years and have more like a height experience, game time experience. Then I always will try to make my team as equitable, as balanced as possible. This is sometimes extremely difficult because, again, you get relationships with students that you really enjoy, but they just may not cut it for the team. And having the one team is very limited and very, very difficult. The next thing is to be open about playing time. Be equitable about playing time. I'm not saying that everybody should play 5 minutes a quarter, but do not just stick with what would be your starting team. Let your other players get a chance to develop. Let them have a chance to shine, whether it be in a moment in a game or in practice. Don't let that be a solid team. Open up your mind to make changes into your starting lineup, and you might be surprised. And the last thing, and what I feel is the biggest thing in fairness as coaching, is to have clear expectations. Set your rules, your guidelines, and your consequences with your entire team. Let them know your philosophies. Let them know what you expect of them. When you see that rules are being broken, you treat the very best player on your team the exact same way as the very worst player on your team. You don't make any exceptions based off of ability or based off of relationships. When you are as fair as can be, you will see that they have so much faith in you, they have so much trust in you, and your athletes will actually perform and do things that you would never expect them to do because they respect your authority as a leader. So, synonyms of fairness, things that are the same. I looked in the thesaurus to find this. Being equal, being honest, being non-biased, being impartial. Take the actual face out of the situation that you are trying to deal with, and just, black and white, this is what happened, this is your consequence, or you're outperforming my starter for the last 2 years, you're going to get the playing time. Antonyms, also looked at in the thesaurus. Being biased, being not fair, showing favoritism to students and athletes on your team, being dishonest, not being willing to answer to athletes if they honestly are asking, what can I do? Or what did I do? Or, why was this situation handled differently? I know that it's not always open to give everybody's situations to the team, but share your philosophy. Let them know that there's reasons why. Let them trust in you that if a rule isn't followed to the exact T, there was probably a reason for that. Why fairness is important. It is important for people to feel like they are just, that they are just as equal as others. That they are this, and then when they do that, they learn that they can treat others fairly, that they treat others equitably, and that will help make our society a more productive place. As far as for sports, fairness is very important because it provides an excellent bonding, a team camaraderie. They know their expectations. They know the philosophy. They have a set goal. They have set things together. They have ownership of their team. If you feel like you have an age level old enough, let them choose rules and expectations together. Let it all be a united decision. One of the reasons that this is such a big issue for me is I moved to a small town in the middle of high school, and my coach pulled me aside and said, you should be in my starting six, but these girls have been here and they've lived in this town, so they're going to play and you're going to sit the bench. And I never want one of my athletes to feel the way that I felt having that conversation and then sitting the bench throughout the season. Again, examples of being fair: holding the tryouts, making sure they're equitable, make sure everybody has the opportunity to be there. Let kids that do make the team, don't make starting positions set in stone. They can change throughout the season. You'd be surprised when you change and you're open to seeing different student athletes' talents, that may actually make your team more successful. Let everybody have consequences. Let everybody know the consequences. Let them know that it's fair and it's equal. One of the things that quote from John Wooden says is the team is the star, never an individual athlete. That is very important because I think too often it is the star who doesn't have to follow the rules, or the star who gets to show up late to practice because they're the star, they're going to produce. And you cannot put that one individual over your entire team. The quote that I pulled was from the Teaching Character Through Sports book, and it says, when it comes to shaping phase, a teaching value, the overriding truth is that not by confronting a behavior that is inappropriate, the coach is sending a message of acceptance. This I found it stood out to me because it's not a direct slap in the face that you are being unfair from one teammate to another, but if you are ignoring a behavior, if you're pretending like it is not there, that is just as bad. It's being toxic. It's going to provide cancer to your team. The video clip that I have installed in the PowerPoint presentation is from Remember the Titans, and there's two clips that I enjoy from this movie. One is where he is saying it didn't matter if they were, black, white, orange, purple. If you are the best player, you are going to play. He is demonstrating his fairness. This clip is actually saying, he may be tough, but he is tough on everybody, and at least they can respect that, and I respect that. The last is a quote on fairness and leadership. Be kind, be fair, be honest, be true, and all these things will come back to you. In conclusion, I just wanted to share that having this team atmosphere of a fair and non-biased and non-partial team is what's going to help make you successful. It will build relationships in your team. It will have huge impact in the way you play. And do not waver from your expectations. It has been very hard. I have had games where I've lost because I've had to bench a player or have another consequence but I would rather that situation happen than not only my team not learn a lesson, but that individual not learn a lesson. I need to make them more productive adults in future society. Thank you so much for my presentation, and I will see you soon.